Hi, everyone. You're going to see a different side of me today, but I just wanted to talk about why we need you here. Sometimes life really has some tough points, hits us hard. We can't see another way. Pain is deep. And the only option we may feel at the time is to take our own life. And this is what I want to talk about right now. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Utsman, and I'm a professional medium and psychic, and have had the honor of being able to do readings now, connecting people with their loved ones from the spirit world to here, globally, frankly, for 14 years. And I'm usually a little more upbeat. It's very rare that I get hit hard by a reading. I'm not saying that I don't get impacted, and I have feelings and whatnot, but working in this manner, we're able to release things. It's about being a healthy medium, which is what I strive for. But today, this reading really affected me. And it's a common theme. I mean, I did a reading last night for helping parents heal. And, in 14 years, I've done thousands of readings, thousands. And it's not an exaggeration. And it's a true honor. And I mean that with every ounce of my being. It's an absolute honor to be able to be a voice for just a little bit of time for those in the spirit world so they can communicate with their loved ones here. And as you can imagine, as many different ways that there are to transition from this life into the spirit world, at this point, I think I've encountered every possible way. But dying by suicide, it's not the answer. I've spoken about suicide before, and this is a topic that's really near and dear to me because I've been there. There's a recording on here where I've shared my story. So I've been there. I know what the pain feels like. I describe it as soul pain. I know what it feels like to not feel. I know what it's like to not see any other options. I know what it's like to not believe what people around are telling you when they say they love you, or you're smart, or you're pretty or handsome, or one day it won't feel like this. I heard all of those things and I just couldn't take it in. And that started at 15 years old for me. So I was young. And I'm used to, unfortunately, far too used to encountering too many people in the spirit world who have died by suicide. And I've noticed a very, very common theme. And that is 90% of the time, these individuals are high on the empathy scale. And that when you feel pain of something that is upsetting to you, I call it soul pain, because it goes so deep, just so deep into you that it feels like it goes through you, like the pain is bigger than you are. I'll just share a couple of my examples. Anything to do with animals, where people harm animals, I can't handle it. I think of them as babies. Any harm or anything that happens with babies, it's just anybody vulnerable like that, the elderly. These are things that, because I'm higher on the empathy scale, can be a challenge. And I'm 52 now, so strange to say, but at 52, an age I never thought I would live to. So much so that we had a big party on my 40th birthday because I've survived, and I know how to balance my empathy. I know how to live without that soul pain. It comes down to boundaries. It comes down to believing who you are and that you are worthwhile. You are worthwhile. You are not a mistake. You aren't damaged and you're not broken. The soul cannot be broken. At your very core, you're good as you are. And I really want to be emphatic about this, because if all of these beautiful individuals that I've spoken with from the spirit world were still walking today here in the physical world with us, it actually helps to balance out the negative. It really does. And I know that's maybe a concept that you can't all fall into. I always say it takes 100 positives to counteract one negative. And that's a lot when you think about it. And frankly, I think there's not a place on this planet right now that isn't touched by something kind of dramatic. We're in a very, very strange time. And I really hope that anybody watching or listening to this video today, if you're in that space where you just think, I can't do it, I'm tired, there are no other options for me, I'm a burden, what am I offering? How am I contributing? No one really loves me. I'm alone. Nobody understands me. I can't explain the pain that I feel. I don't know why I feel some of the pain I feel. When you're in that position, and let's face it, it is a hopeless, helpless feeling. And when you're in that position and that place, in my experience, colors aren't even as bright. Everything's dulled out. Even physical touch doesn't feel as strong because your feelings are shut down. You can't feel what people are saying to you. So if somebody is hugging you and say, I love you, you brush it off. You can't take it in, you can't feel it. And you say to yourself, they're just saying that because they're a friend or family. And all I'm doing is bringing everybody down, and I'm a burden. But if you'll just hear me out for a minute, that's how I felt from the ages of 15 to, I'm going to guess here because I'm really bad with time and such, but I think all the way through to, I don't know, 26, maybe. I have my ups and downs, and multiple suicide attempts, and two very, very, very close to not being here. And you may not believe it now, but where I am now, and I've been saying it for years now, is thank God I'm still here. Because if I wasn't, I wouldn't have landed on my calling. I wouldn't have landed on my contributions. And I'm not only talking about in mediumship, but just even to my own family, just by even my existence. Sometimes you say something to somebody just at the right time, and you don't even know it. Just saying to somebody, I really like your outfit, and you mean it, just giving somebody a compliment. You have no idea what you may have done for that person that day. We need you here. Yeah, the spirit world is an amazing place. It absolutely is. But your work doesn't stop if you take your life. Your work does not stop there. You still must process and go through. And let me tell you, we are all connected. We are all connected. If you can think of it, maybe you've heard the term the fabric. It's what I've come to be able to see in the last year. I did it last night with the group, ask everybody to take a deep breath, and I could start to see the connection of the fabric of all of us being in the same plane, in the same emotional state, just in the same place of support, just at that moment. And the thing is, you don't know what lies ahead. I'm psychic. I don't know what lies ahead on my own path. I can't read really well for myself. I can listen to my guides, but I don't know everything ahead. There was no way at any of those periods of time that I was in those deep, dark places of depression, deep dark, where nothing was working. It just wasn't working. That I could even begin to understand my worth. And let me tell you, if there's anything I've learned over the last 14 years as a medium, first off, the opening of my mediumship helped me understand my whole life before. So I too am high on the empathy scale. You may hear that referred to as an empath. And so I know that place. I know that place, but I also have learned how to put boundaries in place. But is there any way possible? I mean, some of those times when, I've been in that place where I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay the bills? How am I going to get my fish tank and cats in my car? And what are we going to do? Only for a job to come along to get me through. If I would have left before that, that job would not have come through to carry me through and not be homeless. Now, if any of you watching this and you know this me personally, I don't know who watches these videos, so you know me personally, you could say, well, it always could have gone to your family, but it didn't always feel like I could. It wasn't their fault. It was on me. They're willing to help, but I also know that we're not always in that position. Some of us, are raised basically alone. I remember a friend of mine whose family was so dysfunctional that she said at 10 years old, she looked around and thought, I'm going to have to do this myself. So she essentially raised herself at 10, starting at 10 years old, and had an aunt that helped her out a little bit, but went on to go to be a physician. Some of us have been through some significant traumas, and I don't want to belittle any of that. I'm not here to say, oh, you'll just get through it and you'll be fine. It's a fight, but it's a fight for you. The fight has to be for you. Through all of those years, all I knew was I was in there somewhere. I often wondered what was wrong with me. Why did I feel different? Why wasn't I popular? Why did I all of a sudden start getting depressed at 15 when seemingly my life was good? I was a competitive swimmer. That doesn't show now, but it's true. I was really good. It's a good competitive swimmer. I did well in school without too much effort. I was a good kid. And depression hit, and I had no answers. And all I wanted to do was sleep. And my mom would ask me, what's wrong? And I'd just say, I don't know. And it was hard for her to accept that, because usually I think most people think that there's a reason. But I'm here to say sometimes we really just don't know. So we're not lying when we say, I don't know why I feel the way I do. Sometimes it's accumulation of things that we've put aside or survived through. Just survive through. And we haven't teased it apart or haven't had an opportunity to work it out, and it just compiles. And so how could you know? How could you know which issue it is? Is it that you've been dealing with homelessness? Is it that one or both or all of your parents have had substance issues? You have somebody, maybe a family member in prison. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe you have chemical depression, or other form of mental illness. maybe you've lost everything, you know, job, family, security. Doesn't matter what age I'm talking about here, because I'm not only talking about youth, I'm talking to everyone. Everyone. I can only speak from my perspective and my understanding as a medium. And my belief is that's not part of our plan. And the reason is sometimes we're going to wonder why, everyone. I'm here to tell you, we're going to wonder why. But each lifetime is to expand your growth of a soul. You're growing your soul. And when you complete your lifetime in the time that was intended to be completed, well, then you transition. And that can be at various ages too. That can be young also. Completed what you were intended to do. And then some of us, I wonder sometimes, I'm being truthful. You've got the full Amy Utsman here. I wonder sometimes, what was I thinking with this whole long list of things that I thought I needed to accomplish in this lifetime for the growth of my soul? Goodness me. Why? But for whatever reason, I chose a lot to go through. And yet, here I sit today. Yeah, I had a difficult reading that hit me hard. But aside from that, I sit here today feeling extraordinarily grateful and lucky because I'm in an amazing marriage, been together 16 years, have a nice home, nothing overly fancy, but it's a nice home. I'm able to give back through my natural gifts, which I've dedicate my life to continuing to develop so I can be in the best service of those in the spirit world. And my life is not perfect. No one has perfect life. Yep, there's some difficult things to contend with in my family related to loved ones' health and things that have happened. And life is never easy. It just isn't. But we don't want you to leave. We just don't want you to leave. And the reason I say we goes back to when I say we're all connected. And you might think, I don't feel connected to anything. Trust me, right now, I really want to swear, but I don't. But you may feel like I'm just not connected to anything. No one sees me, no one knows me. How can I be connected? I feel alone. I feel empty. I hurt. Amy, it's easy for you to sit there and say that because you survived it. Well, this is why I'm saying it, because I want you to survive it too. Okay? I want you to survive it too. And yeah, reaching out for help sometimes, it's one of the hardest things to do. People are laughing, and the last thing you want to do is say, hey, I'm struggling. You don't want to bring them down. You don't want to feel like the one that's always a problem. You don't want to feel like the one that's just been a burden and a weight. Maybe you have a health condition that contributes to that. I deal with epilepsy. Okay. For the first time in over 30 years, I finally think we're starting to get to the right combination. Everybody deals with something regarding their health. That's not easy, but everybody has something in regards to health. So when I don't know how I can try and describe the image, but my guides gave to me years ago, and I thought, "Huh, it's good to give it to me in an image, in a clairvoyant image, but how in the world am I supposed to explain this?" Okay, so I'm going to continue to use the phrasing fabric, but you know those little, like, they're like a ball. They come down and then you pull them out and they have connections all around. You squeeze them in, pull them out. It's not really a ball, it's made of plastic, but it goes in and it comes out, and multicolored usually. So I think you all would know, most of you can resonate with what that image is. When a piece of that is removed, the whole thing has to reshift to rebuild. And that's what happens when somebody dies by suicide. That's what happens. So we don't always know how many lives we're shifting. We think we're a burden, but we don't know till we get till the spirit world how much we were actually loved while we were here, all the avenues and options we had, the future that was yet to unfold. You find that out there. Once you get to the spirit world, you find that out. And yeah, you're loved as you are, but we need you here. If we use the example of the fabric, because I know this reaches an international audience, so if we use the example of a fabric and somebody takes a thread out, all of a sudden, what happens? The fabric starts to come apart. And then what? It has to be mended back together. But it will never, ever look like the original fabric that it was. It will never look like that again. It'll be patched, but your beautiful part of contribution that might feel this big actually extends out to this big. And you may think to yourself, woman, I bag groceries for a living. Maybe you do. So what? You're no less important than a leader of a country. And that might be a big statement to make. But let me tell you what. In the spirit world, we're all equal. No one's famous there. We're just part of one big soul connection. So maybe you bag groceries. Somebody needs help with their groceries being bagged. And you give that person a smile. Maybe that person was having a really hard day and you didn't know. You were just kind. Maybe you do janitorial services and you think nobody appreciates me, and it's hard labor and it's hard work. And you go home and your back is aching and your body is aching. Maybe you go home to no one, or maybe you go home to a piece of bread to eat, or maybe you go home with the choice of feeding your kids over feeding you. Does that make you less worthy? It doesn't. It really does not. And I smile as I say that because I've done lots of jobs in my life. And yep, I had the opportunity to be a cook and a chef for 12 years. And I'm here to tell you that no part in that operation was less important, because with one person missing, the whole thing falls apart. So I know I've been talking long, and I hope that you will really listen to this and understand, not only just based on my experience of my connection with those in the spirit world, but the complete understanding. And I mean this with every ounce of my being, because I'm just not one to say things just to make people feel better, especially working as a medium and psychic. That's not my role. Okay. That's not my role. Yeah. Do I want everybody to feel uplifted? Of course I do. Of course I do. I'm here to be in service. But I also recognize life is hard. And I'm not going to minimize that. Sometimes the challenge is so great, you just can't even get up. You know what? So you try better the next day. But the key is, we need you here. Because at least 90% of you, in my experience, that decide to leave before your agreed upon time, before you came into this lifetime, are the very ones we need here. We need you here because your sweetness, your kindness, your inkling of a smile, your one phrase of wisdom or uplifting that you give to somebody that you don't even realize could have changed their day, their week, their month. We need you here. You can't see it, maybe. Maybe you can't feel it. But all I do is please ask for help. Reach out to the suicide hotline. I've seen a lot of flack about it. I get it. I understand. I understand. But they're there to help. Reach out to anyone if you're thinking about going. Or try and just give yourself another day. You need to take it sometimes minute by minute, hour by hour. One of the things that I did was I did what I had to do. I kept my responsibilities. And then if I wanted to sleep, then I slept. It was one of the things that I did to help change my course. All I have to do is get through my responsibilities of the day. And then if I wanted to be home and sleep from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., that's what I did. But I fought for myself. I didn't stay here for anyone else. Sounds cold. Sounds mean. Maybe harsh even, because I have a very loving family. But they didn't understand and they couldn't. How could they? Especially when I hid it. We're always so good at hiding these things. But somewhere in there, I knew I was there. And I reached my points at times that I couldn't hold on to that. So yeah, I almost died a few times myself. But I live in gratitude that I didn't. So just think about it. Because if you go before your time, the whole world has a reshuffle that you're not even aware of. And you might think, Amy, you're exaggerating. I'm not. I have enough experience with guides in the spirit world and enough knowledge that I'm comfortable and solid in that I know how connected we are. You are needed. You are wanted. You are not a mistake. You are not created as a mistake, regardless of how you came into this world and the circumstances. You are not a mistake. So please, I ask you, please try and stay here because we need you. So I think I've rambled on long enough, but it was important. So you got me raw from a reading that hit me deeply today. I'm not 100% sure why this one hit me deeper than others, but it did. And so I put myself in this vulnerable position to hopefully just even one person stay another day. So I'll leave you with that. And many blessings to all of you out there. Do it for you. If for no one else, do it for you.